Welcome to Frankly Speaking. I'm Zakka Jacob. We are coming to you at a time when we're seeing increasing protests of young people, Gen Z as they are called. They're protesting against paper leaks. There is a general sense that they're not getting jobs, good enough jobs, and their sense of aspiration is not being met by the government of the day. If that is the case, then what does the government need to do more of? And if India is, as the government says, the fastest growing economy in the world, then why is it not able to produce enough good quality jobs? And how does one resolve this crisis? I'm now joined by a very special guest on Frankly Speaking. Dr. Surjit Bhalla is a former executive director with the International Monetary Fund and one of India's renowned economists. Thank you very much for joining us here on Frankly Speaking. Let's start with these Gen Z protests, the young protests. Now, there is a sense of anger amongst this cohort of young people, let's say from 18 to 25. They feel like, of course, the most proximate reason is the paper leaks. They feel like the system is cheating them. But is there a larger sense of grievance amongst them that they're not getting jobs or they're not getting good enough jobs? And there's a large number of people who are chasing few government jobs.
Okay. So, not all of the above. But especially the last mention. Let me explain. You know, we went from, our critics went from asserting that there were no jobs just a few years ago.
Yeah.
Then they said there are not enough good jobs. Then they're now saying not enough, as you said, rightly, not enough good quality jobs. Now, if we are, we'll be in a never-ending loop.
Cycle,
because I'll ask you what's a good quality job, etc. Though I will offer a definition of a good quality job. So, and then we can address what the Generation Z is up to. If we answer these three questions, we can find out what they might be up to.
Okay.
So, so I've divided up the jobs data available in India from 1983 onwards. Okay. And this is the NSS PLFS data. And I've separated out self-employed people, family workers. So the only people I'm looking at are salaried workers and casual workers. And Generation Z is not about to do or want to do casual work. They all want salaried jobs.
Correct.
I wanted a salaried job, so I have no complaint.
Correct.
Okay? And they're all educated to get salaried jobs. So let's look at the history of salaried jobs in India. Between 2011 and now, 2025, the growth of salaried jobs has been the fastest ever in India. 4.3% a year.
Okay.
Okay? That's not to deny that they don't have a problem, but it's to say, you know, no matter how you define good quality jobs, and I will now come to that, there aren't any. So what is the problem? The problem is, and you know, we've talked about whenever I've been on TV discussing this, that on trips, etc., interviewing people, they're all, so they are employed. Okay? And just like the Jharkhand people, which I'll come to in a minute, but they want a government job.
Okay.
Why do they want a government job? And you know, that movie that came out, which was nominated for Oscars, same job, wanted a government job. What's so special about a government job? Pensions, job security.
Security, yeah.
Right? You don't have job security.
No,
I don't have. Okay? Job security, pensions, and you're really not required to do very much.
Okay.
No accountability. Why wouldn't every child in India, and they're paid the highest wage.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't everybody want a government job? That's the story. Now, here's an interesting case, and I don't want to talk about the movement in Delhi or the protests in Delhi, but I think the Jharkhand protests haven't got as much publicity. They are the real thing. They are the real Angelita. They have a real grief. And their grief is both of them. There's a Hindu and there's a Muslim. Both of them have jobs. Both of them qualified for the government jobs.
Yeah.
Qualified means they not only passed the exam, they were on the list for selections.
Correct.
Neither of them has got that job.
And why is that?
I think, I don't know, but I can speculate like the rest of us. I think there's corruption. Massive. So not only in the paper leaks, who gets the government job? Several people qualify. Government jobs are not increasing. And that we can get to, whether we look at the PM Cares program, etc. They are not increasing as fast as private sector jobs.
No, but I want to come back to a point. The reason why everybody is chasing a government job, as you said, is it because the private sector is not creating enough jobs?
I gave you the example. The fastest growth in salaried jobs in India ever is now, that's including private sector and public sector or government jobs, and government jobs are growing at the slowest rate ever. So has to be, the private sector is creating jobs.
So then why aren't people coming out on the street saying that we want private sector jobs? They're all coming out saying they want government jobs.
That's right.
Not for private sector jobs.
Yeah. So that is why they are coming out, because we have, and I said that the government sector jobs, why wouldn't every child born in India, after graduating from college, want a babu job?
Is it also possible, Dr. Bhalla, that our education system is not providing our young graduates with the necessary skills required for a private sector job?
Okay. I think that's a very important point, and will get us into an area that I've started to explore, have written. My first paper on this was about 10 years ago, on the reservation system for jobs. Okay? And you know that the Congress party now wants, in the private sector,
reservation, yes.
Reservations. Why don't they look at what is happening? So we're not the last thing in the world. So I think the private sector reservation jobs, which we are talking, first of all, the government jobs are primarily for the reserved sector
categories,
right? And then only the hoi polloi can get in, right? And second, they are also at a premium. So the allocation for the government jobs, after determining cost and everything else, goes to highest bidder.
Okay.
And the highest bidder is not necessarily the person. It's the person who gets, I don't know. You guys run a big network. You guys should find out what is happening. We look at the headlines. You look at the headlines. I look at the headlines. They want jobs. No, you know what the unemployment rate in India is for the ages 29 to 54? That's called the prime age group around the world.
Yeah.
Okay? And it's a very convenient one. 22 is when you graduate from college. 2-3 years here, 5 years there. The unemployment rate in India, the entire group of 29 to 54 has wavered between 1 and 2% since 1983. So this has nothing to do with private sector, not jobs or whatever.
So China, from let's say 1979 till the global financial crisis, was creating these manufacturing jobs, export-driven jobs, growing at double digits for a good 25-30 years. And then in the last few years, particularly after COVID, you've had countries like Vietnam and Bangladesh, which are growing at almost double digits and certainly creating enough manufacturing / export driven jobs. Why isn't India able to do the same?
Okay. So one, I want to correct a few factual points. Okay. China's GDP growth rate for the last 5-6 years and going forward is not going to be anywhere close to double digits. It's not going to be anywhere close to 5% per annum.
No, I meant from 1979 till 2008.
Yeah. Now, then there are several issues that you raised. Is a very good point, but I don't know where to begin to answer. But I think let's move to what's our problem.
Yeah.
And our problem, I think, we've addressed the jobs. There are salaried jobs, but there are not enough private sector jobs.
Manufacturing jobs. Why aren't
manufacturing
there enough?
jobs. Now, I want to pose you a question on not enough manufacturing with an illustration.
Okay.
As to why, absolutely correct. Okay. In 2010, China moved up the value-added scale.
Correct.
Okay. Which meant that textiles, one of the biggest employers of lower-end manufacturing, would open up. Every Indian born since 1947, Economist, says we must improve the jobs for textiles, which is a major cotton advantage, our comparative advantage, etc. Okay? So in 2010, I wrote, and several others wrote, oh, fantastic. China is moving up the value-added scale, this place is open up, and India will fill the space.
Yeah.
We have all the resources and all the capabilities to fill this space. Except what happened, and then I'll go into why it happened. Bangladesh stole our lunch, and Vietnam stole our dinner. They went and expanded textile jobs. Why didn't we expand textile jobs? Because protection, no incentives to move into textiles. And import of textiles into India is at a duty of 25%. Zakka, you give me an answer to that question. Why? How does it help manufacturing? How does it help textiles to have a 25% duty on polyester?
No, but let me make this larger, right? In this day and age, when the government is saying we're making semiconductor fabs, we're manufacturing iPhones, we're doing electric vehicles, why then is again there a manufacturing problem? People were talking about China plus one, and in reference to India, obviously.
Yeah.
Why hasn't India become the China plus one in these
issues,
industries?
China plus one. One is a trade agreement, and the second is, well, primarily we need to grow our industry, manufacturing. And we haven't been able to reach a trade agreement with the US for the last 30 years, and now the last 2 years
couple of years,
in particular. Why? Now, some people in the government will say, we have Trump to deal with. We had, the rumors were there that everything was ready and signed. From our side, we were just waiting for Trump's signature. Now, it's very credible for the government to say, and for the analysts to say, that it was Trump who's responsible. But maybe he's not.
Then who is?
Maybe he's not responsible for our
not signing the deal.
Because we haven't signed a trade treaty, and if you look at it, the protection will have to go down.
So here's the big irony, right? India wants to be the manufacturing powerhouse of the world, but Indian industry is always protected by the same. That is the problem.
That is the problem.
Why does no government want to fix that?
Because the major industrialists, this gets into my deep state. Look, the major industrialists around the world are very influential in government policy.
Of course.
So let's not
Yeah.
kid ourselves. However, in India, they are not only influential, they dictate policy, government policy, which is why forever and ever and ever, we will always be an aspiring nation. Because, you know, the flip side of that is that everybody in the system, the government has delivered poverty reduction
Correct.
in India, which is the bottom 50%, 20%, 30%, at the fastest rate
Yes.
in the world, second only to China.
China, correct.
China delivered it through higher growth. We've delivered it through welfare payments. Now, yeah, fine. But what about growth?
Yeah.
Growth is long lasting, okay? And we have reached diminishing returns. So now we are talking about, okay, we can't have freebies, this, that.
Yeah.
But there's no stopping the freebies. So I think, you know, we need to relook. And one last thing I want to say, not last, but if we, that the decision making in India is done by the IAS,
Yes, bureaucrats largely.
by bureaucrats, by senior bureaucrats,
Correct.
IAS bureaucrats.
Correct, yeah.
Okay? Now, we have the same system of selection of IAS, the promotion of IAS officers, as we did in 1800.
Correct. It's a British system, yeah. It's continuing.
But the British had done away with
Yeah,
it.
of course.
We are sticking with it. And what that means is that they are heavily influenced. And, you know, I will say this, my IS friends and my they
Yeah.
won't like me saying this because it certainly doesn't apply to all.
Yeah.
Okay? But a dominant portion of them are not equipped for the modern age, decision making in the modern age. That's the first problem. You know, I'll give you an example. Both Manmohan Singh and Modi said we must have more lateral entry outside of the IAS into senior positions, not junior level, not clerk level positions, in decision making positions. Both of them failed gloriously. Now let's go back. When is the only time in India we've had economic reforms?
Like big ticket reform, 91. That's
91.
That's big, yeah, 91.
Who was in charge of economic policy, apart from the finance minister, Manmohan Singh,
Manmohan Singh, yeah.
who's a technocrat, not IAS,
Correct.
right? But the entire finance secretary, Monte, etc., the decision makers were all non-IAS.
Okay.
And after that, we've been hoping that we'll have a continuation of economic reforms.
So it comes back to, I think you have a quote which says that, what is it? If you want to reform the system?
Yeah. So this is a quote from Korea Development Institute.
Okay.
Okay, which, like Niti Aayog, and actually Niti Aayog, or the Planning Commission, was set up following the setting up of the Korean Development Institute. Okay. So the Korean development, and you know, that gets to why they're not manufacturing jobs in India, why they are in Korea, which I'll come to. So he has said the following, and I think one of the most profound quotes
Statements.
or statements. You cannot reform a system by tapping into the system. And you know what happens? It's incentives. The IS officer is not going to allow the outsider because it takes away their lunch, takes away their job, takes away their power, takes away their influence, because it'll be divided. And I don't need to qualify it in any way. The private sector is a lot more qualified than the IS. And I'll give you another example about the private sector in India, okay? Non-IS. You must know hundreds of people, I know hundreds of people that who have gone to the US, okay? The Indian community in the US from the same family, so okay, all families have many.
Yeah.
The Indian community in the US is the most innovative,
Correct.
highest per capita income
Correct.
in the US.
Yes.
Their family members there, their parents, their brothers and sisters who work in India, same genes, same cultural background, same education background, fail in India. That's your problem.
All right.
We don't reward merit. We have reservations. And let me give you another example of merit. You keep bringing up China, and justifiably. China's civil service is one of the most competitive,
Correct.
merit-oriented systems in the world.
There's no reservation.
Our IAS is the most uncompetitive, non-merit system in the world. I don't know why I spend a lot of time looking at equations and this and that. Why is China there? We are not there. It's all so simple, stupid.
All right. Dr. Bhalla, I know it's not a particularly optimistic note to end the conversation on, but we'll leave it at that. Fascinating conversation. As always, you've not pulled back any punches. Thank you very much for joining us on
My
Frankly
pleasure.
Speaking. Thank you.